welcome back to the Viking Update Show with John Krasinski. I'm Jim Suhan. John, of course, writes for The Athletic. I write for the Star Tribune. This is TalkNorth.com, and we do a couple of podcasts on this network. The John Krasinski Show, our very popular NBA show, and this, the Viking Update Show, one of our 3 Viking shows at the network. When you find a show you like, please subscribe to your favorite podcast app. It's free. It's easy. Also, John and I, for both the John Krasinski Show and the Viking Update Show, are doing videos that are showing up on YouTube as well. We're continuing to expand our video capabilities at TalkNorth.com, so you'll find some of your favorite shows there, including the Russo and LaPanta show, Worst Seats in the House, which is now, of course, concentrating on the NHL Finals. All right, this is a Viking show, and Teasley was introduced this week, and kind of made me miss David Kahn. I mean, he was not David Kahn. Now he's probably much more competent than David Kahn, but David Kahn knew how to put on a press conference. We got to admit that.
There was no bifurcate. There was no
show of hands.
No show of hands. None of that stuff. He was a very no frills delivery of his message, Nolan Teasley. So it was definitely an interesting vibe in there to watch him kind of not exactly command the room, just be a humble, quiet dude, and with about 10-second answers to every question. It was different from what we've seen from some general managers in this town. That doesn't mean it's going to be bad or good. It's much different for sure.
It's also a reminder of the very interesting position he is entering. We used to make fun of the triangle of authority back in the Childress days, and this is, I don't know if it's an equilateral triangle, but it's kind of a triangle. You got Brzezinski, you got Teasley as an inexperienced general manager, you have Kevin O'Connell as, I believe, the dominant football personality in the room, and you have Brian Flores, who has a lot of pull and should have a lot of pull, and Teasley stepping in, and I wouldn't listen. We all want to be entertained, right? We all would love it if he come in there and gave us 3 catchphrases we could have fun with the rest of our lives. Probably not a bad strategy to come in and be humble and just kind of ease your way into this job, especially since they're hiring him at a time of year where he really doesn't have to do anything.
Yeah, to me it's an interesting sort of situation to be in because on one hand, you look at what has transpired from this leadership structure over the last several years and really, for a long time with the Vikings. And you think kind of that maybe what is demanded or required of that spot is someone to come in and really grab a hold of it and be like the guy. And be the lighthouse, on the rocks of the shore and guide everyone in. But, here it's clear that Nolan Teasley is taking this approach, and the Vikings, I think, liked what they heard from him in the interview process of much more of a collaboration, much more of a consensus building type of approach. And I thought, we will talk a lot on this show today, Jim, about, Teasley's background, his plans for and challenges with the roster, Mark Wilf, how all that figures in. But to me, while there were not many headline grabbing quotes in the press conference, the one thing that stood out to me more than anything else was that Mark Wilf, in his opening remarks, said, I want to thank Turnkey, which is the search firm. I want to thank Andrew Miller, the CEO, and I want to thank Kevin O'Connell for this, for the help in this process. And then Nolan Teasley comes up and specifically thanks Kevin O'Connell. And that tells we knew that Kevin O'Connell was involved in this process. We knew that that he was going to have a voice. But to me, that really did just kind of drive home that it wasn't just a voice. It was a major part of the decision-making process here. When you're being thanked by the person who was hired, that means that there was a lot of influence that you had. And so I just think it really does outline what this structure is going to be, and it's going to be Nolan Teasley and Kevin O'Connell on the same line at least. And so it seems like Kevin O'Connell might be the guy that everyone looks to in this organization as the dynamic personality, as the voice of leadership, and that Nolan Teasley is going to be more of the quiet worker that, scouts and assembles a roster and all of those things. And so, just a little bit unique in the way that teams are and front offices are structured. But this Kevin O'Connell has more power today than he's probably ever had here, and I don't think that's only increasing.
What did it take him? 5 months to hire a general manager?
Yeah, I think so. Felt like a year.
Now, we thought it was taking 5 months because they were indecisive, or because they wanted Brzezinski to be able to handle the draft, or because they had so many people involved in the search. I think now we know why it took so long. Because Kevin O'Connell was involved in the interviews. Kevin O'Connell can turn hello into a half an hour monologue.
That's right.
If Kevin O'Connell is involved in the interviews, every interview is going to take 4 days.
And it mostly will be Kevin O'Connell saying what he thinks. And
yes.
I wonder, that's what I do wonder. Are his questions as long-winded as his answers? Because maybe that is that's
they got to be, because he wants to provide full context. He never says yes or no.
No.
It's always, well, in our football organization, this is the way we do things. And by the way, when I was in third grade, I got a great coaching tip from my gym teacher. And boy, that really carried on to me, make it in the NFL. And by the Justin's ankles is a little sore. Yes.
And then you have Nolan Teasley with like the major league play-by-play announcer, fly ball, caught. That's just they are going to complement each other. There is not going to be any kind of struggle for oxygen in the room, because Kevin O'Connell with his long-winded approach and Nolan Teasley with his very short-winded approach should work well together.
It's a theory. Let's go with that as a theory.
Let's go with it. Yeah.
The Viking Update Show is presented to you by Onyx Hunt. We're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studios. We also want to thank True Vision Institute. Thanks to Aquarius Home Services for being so great for our organization. And we have grown Talk North by leaps and bounds over the years, and we appreciate you listening. We appreciate the word of mouth you give us. All right. So Teasley's here, and now he has nothing to do.
Yeah. I mean, he did say it at the end of the press conference, like, yeah, this is a little bit of a unique situation or timing to come into this job. And I mean, we've talked about this. Like, it did not make any sense that you would wait this long. I don't know why they couldn't have hired Nolan Teasley in February. I really don't. Like, I'm not sure what took so long in this process, because now he is coming in at a point when there has already been a whole draft taken, like, by someone else, without his guidance, direction. He talked about wanting to establish a language throughout the football operations department and how you evaluate players and scout them. And so I guess, like, in one way, sure, it's just like any other time. If you took it in January, he'd still have the previous draft that he'd be saddled with, that he's got to kind of dig out of a little bit. But it really just means that, man, Rob Brzezinski had to get that thing right, and we'll see how it went. But there's nothing that will make me understand why he had to be hired in June or late May versus the middle of February, and give him time to get you get him in by the middle of February, and he has plenty of time to prepare for the draft and plenty of time to talk to coaches and figure things out, and then get a class up and running under his vision. And so they better hope that this group that was brought in April just happens to fit what Nolan Teasley wants, because if not, you're going to be seeing quick move on from players he's not married to.
What we need is somebody from the Seattle organization to leak videos of what Teasley was saying about Banks as they're all sitting in that room. He's like, God, glad he's off the board. We don't even think about him.
Like, oh my God, that guy's got one leg. How could they pick him in the first round? Yeah, I don't know. Like, that would be interesting for sure.
Oh man, let's get to some big news around the NFL. We'll continue to talk about the Vikings, their structure, and how things are going to play out here. We have a lot of time to talk this summer about some really esoteric and fun things. But this was a big week in the NFL, and let's talk about that. A reminder: we're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studios.
Scott for Aquarius, your independent authorized Connecticut dealer. Are you ready for the worry-free water your family deserves? This summer, trade in your old water softener and trade up to a Connecticut system. Say goodbye to hard water, rust stains, and contaminants, and hello to worry-free water and an additional $500 off on top of our summer sale pricing. Schedule your free water test today at AquariusHomeservices.com. Aquarius, earning the right to be recommended.
We're also presented to you by OnX Hunt and OnX Fish. Go to onxmaps.com/fish to fish smarter this season. Stop fishing the same lake because it's the only one you know. OnX Fish lets you filter lakes by species, abundance, trophy, and keeper potential, so you can make a smarter call on where to spend your Saturday before you ever hitch up the trailer. It's only $34.99 a year. $34.99 a year, less than a spool of good braid. Download OnX Fish on the App Store or go to onxmaps.com/fish and fish smarter this season. Of course, when you go to onxmaps.com, you'll also see the hunting app. Great company, and they really do help people who love to get in the outdoors. And again, at TalkNorth.com, we partner with Ron Scherer Productions. We have outdoor content and podcasts as well. You might want to check those out as well. All right. So June 1 has become a big date on the NFL calendar. We get to June 1 and the Rams trade for Myles Garrett. The Patriots trade for A.J. Brown. We knew they would, but interesting that the Eagles are able to get a first round pick out of it. And Odell Beckham Jr. is going to play for the Giants. Obviously the big one, if you're an NFC team hoping to get to the Super Bowl in the next 5 years, Myles Garrett to the Rams is bad news.
Really bad news. I will give the Browns credit in terms of I do think they got a great return for him. I think Jared Verse is really, really good, and they got a bunch of picks. And so if you don't think you're going to be ultra competitive this coming year, go for it. But when you look at now what the Rams have done, and, bringing in Myles Garrett, now it sounds like a move like that is actually having Aaron Donald contemplate coming out of retirement as well. And oh my goodness, like what a just flex to push those chips into the middle of the table. And that's what I love about how the Rams have operated with McVay and Les Snead is like, look, if we think we can win, we're going to do everything possible to win because these windows do open and close quickly. And so why not just throw it all out there and go for broke on it? And maybe it works and maybe it doesn't. But what you know as a Rams fan is that your team is doing everything humanly possible to have the best chance to go win another Super Bowl. And so with Matthew Stafford at this stage of his career, it makes so much sense to bring in the best defensive player in the league right now and one of the best of this generation, and just say, all right, we're coming after Seattle. We're coming after, all the, Philadelphia, all the good teams, and we're gonna make a run. And they are absolutely, I think, the favorites right now in the NFC, having loaded up the way that they have.
They might have been the best team in the NFL last year, and that crazy Seattle comeback and win in overtime in Seattle late in the season set up Seattle to have home field advantage, and Seattle is one of the places that has serious home field advantage when they have the advantage. It's a very difficult place to play, and if the Rams win that regular season game, they might just go the whole way, and I think they would have beaten the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Now they've added Myles Garrett, and he's not just a really good player. This is a guy who has put up like historic sack numbers while playing for a bad team that's never ahead. Most guys who put up huge sack numbers are on good teams, and they get to just cut it loose in the fourth quarter and go after the quarterback without thinking about anything else. Myles Garrett puts up sack numbers in non-sack situations.
Absolutely. And the other part about it that's exciting for me to think about is we have seen this before, that whenever a veteran player who has spent a long time in an organization that doesn't win ultimately then goes to a team that is a contender and a competitor, like what that does for their performance, for their motivation, for just their overall kind of realization of the moment, it's incredible. Like they feel like they're frolicking through a field after being, stuck, in a corner in a kennel forever and ever. So I do anticipate Myles Garrett is going to get there. He's going to be playing meaningful games from the start of the season to the end of the season. And you may even see the best Myles Garrett that you've seen just from the simple fact that this is a dude that wants to win, that has been begging for that opportunity to win, and now he is put in that position. And so there's going to be no time off. He's going to be putting the gas pedal all the way to the floor. And when Myles Garrett does that, I just can't even imagine what we're going to see. Like with what we've already seen in Cleveland, like it's going to be just out of this world kind of production from him. And, look out, man. It's going to be scary.
No doubt about it. And then you had the Patriots trading for A.J. Brown. And, man, that team lacked a number one receiver. Diggs was okay last year, but he wasn't old Stephon Diggs. Diggs was, A.J. Brown was a major upgrade. He's still in his prime. Yeah. And Vrabel loves him. Vrabel's going to make sure he gets the ball. He has a quarterback who's going to be able to get him the ball, and it sets up their secondary receiver. They have a lot of good receivers. They didn't have any great receivers. It makes I'm not predicting the Patriots automatically go to the Super Bowl or anything like that. There's so many good quarterbacks, so many good teams in the AFC. But to me, the Patriots went to the Super Bowl last year, and I think they're better now.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely they are. I mean, you look at the way that things went in Philly at the end with A.J. Brown, and I can understand why some people would say, oh man, do we want to take on another diva? Like what's this guy all about? But if you just look at it, like Jalen Hurts is a subpar quarterback in comparison to Drake May. And I think that, his A.J. Brown's relationship with Mike Vrabel will be very big in having him be a good soldier in New England, and kind of just be the good teammate and not bring sort of distraction and things of that nature to it, at least early on, as long as things go well. And the thing that I really do love about A.J. Brown for Drake May is he is one of those guys who uses his physicality to overwhelm defenses, and he does not have to be wide open to make big plays. You can throw the ball to him in contested situations, and he's going to come down with it much more often than he doesn't. And so Drake May is already one of the more accurate quarterbacks out there, but he gives this young quarterback margin for error that Drake May did not have previously. I mean, when you bring A.J. Brown into that receiver core, that is bringing a Ferrari into a Kia dealership. And I drive a Kia, so I can say that. But it is just it's night and day. The level of talent, the level of just ability to bend the game to his will. He's got all of those things, and none of the Patriots receivers had that. You had to scheme the Patriots receivers open for the most part, even Diggs. A.J. Brown can get open on his own, and I just think that is going to take this Patriots offense to another level, give them a different dimension. And, an aggressive move, worst kept secret in the NFL. We all knew it was going to happen at some point, and credit Howie Roseman for getting the first round pick that he got for A.J. Brown. But it's going to end up benefiting the Eagles the Patriots in a major way.
We also want to thank another key sponsor at TalkNorth.com. Shoe Vision Institute also sponsors the John Krasinski Show, and yes, they sponsor the Viking Update Show. John, tell us about Shoe Vision Institute.
True Vision Institute in Bloomington. Go to truevision.com to set up your free consultation. If you're watching this on YouTube, you see that I'm not wearing glasses. I have not worn glasses or needed contacts for the last 2 years now since I got LASIK surgery at True Vision. The people take unbelievable care of you from start to finish. The process and the surgery itself is over in a blink of an eye. You're in and out in like 5 minutes, and you're getting yourself onto recovery, and then you're seeing clearly for the rest of your life. It's just it makes everything so much easier for me on a day-to-day basis. I have a busy schedule. I don't have time to be trying to load up on more contacts. I don't have time to be going in to the doctor every year to get a new prescription for my glasses. Like, just go to True Vision. They will take care of you. They will make your life so much easier. True Vision Institute in Bloomington, truevision.com.
So Odell Beckham Jr. is going to return to the Giants. I don't know that anybody just thinks it's going to work perfectly. He's going to come in and play great and not have any injuries. Usually the difficult thing about players who have had layoffs is their body forgets exactly how much torture you have to put it through to be ready for an NFL season. But I have to admit, I'm intrigued. Just because at his best, he's brilliant. At his worst, he still has great hands and great agility. And it's at least intriguing to me.
Yeah, it's worth watching and monitoring, Jim. I mean, I think the good news for the Giants and Odell Beckham is they don't need Odell Beckham to be the guy who was there early on in his career and kind of had that dominant start to his career and the highlight reel catches and all of those things. They have Malik Neighbors. Yeah, he's coming off of an injury, but I think everyone expects him to be back, and he looks like a true number one receiver. And so you bring Odell Beckham in a supporting role and just kind of give him not table scraps, but certainly just have him be someone that is not drawing the best defensive back every week, that is not getting doubled all of the time. And I think there's a chance that he can be effective that way. I want to see him stay healthy. I want to see him, just get out there and move around and see exactly, how much of Odell Beckham is still in there. But for a team that has another young quarterback, for a team that is trying to climb the ladder in the NFC East and get back into the conversation of playoffs and being a contender and those types of things, you bring in a veteran guy who has a history of dynamic ability. I don't see any downside to it, really. And so if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and you move on. But if you can catch lightning in a bottle, if you can get Odell Beckham to recapture some of the magic that he had, I think he'd be a good second receiver opposite Malik Neighbors. And that's just, that kind of depth is important in an NFL season, especially when Neighbors is going to be coming back from an injury and trying to get his legs back underneath him as well.
One more note from the NFC North that is important. So we'll get that in a second. We'll remind you that Alec Lewis does his own Vikings show here at TalkNorth.com. Alec will be joining us next week. He's going to do a couple appearances a month on this show as well as doing his own show. It's great to have him on our roundtable type discussions. Also, reminder that to check out the John Krasinski show. John did great work all throughout the season. Now he's doing great work on the playoffs, the postseason, and of course, as we all know, free agency and the trade season might be the most interesting season of all. Let's get to Micah Parsons. Sounds like he might be out half the season.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by that. Just in terms of, the way that Micah talked about it, and saying, hey, I'm just really worried about being ready for the playoffs and for a Super Bowl run and all of that. It was so sort of transparent. I wondered if is he trying to sort of hoodwink the rest of the NFC North and be like, and set the bar low, and then in week 2 or week 3, you're going to see Micah Parsons out there, and is this a whole big ruse? Because generally speaking, you don't hear many athletes talk that way about coming back from injury, especially someone of his stature and of his kind of entering the prime of his career. Usually it's, I'm working my butt off and I'll be back as soon as I can. I'm not going to rush it, but I feel good about things and and I'm working as hard as humanly possible to get back as soon as I can to be out there with my team. And Micah's kind of like, if I miss the whole year, that's fine as long as I'm ready for the playoffs. Like, it's like, really? Like, that's the approach that it is right now, huh? Okay. Like, it was just, that caught my eye, Jim. Just like, this is different from what we normally hear from athletes in this situation. And maybe it's no big deal at all, but I did find it interesting. Like, these guys will hold it down. I'll be fine. And, come back for the last month and then get ready for the playoffs. It's like, you might need a little more than that, Micah. I'm not sure.
We're so surprised when people are honest with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. And you're right. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe he's setting that bar, intentionally because he knows the long road that he has. And, but yeah, it's just like, it was disarming the way that he, and it sounded to me, Jim, and I'm not like, it sounded to me like, I don't want to play. Like, I'm going to take my time.
Regular season's for losers.
Exactly. It sounded like the Timberwolves, all 82 regular season games. Like, don't worry about it. We'll be in the playoffs.
Don't worry about it.
And we'll be fine. Like, and that's what, you just don't hear that in the NFL very often. And that's what Micah did right there.
Fascinating stuff. All right. We'll have Alec on next week. We'll do a roundtable on the general manager, the triangle of authority, everything that's going on with the Vikings and the NFL. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate you watching. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, and we'll talk to you next week.